Hello, this is Mr. Bowlby. We are going to begin Domain 2, the classification of animals. Lesson 1, classifying animals by characteristics. Behold, our first picture. Beautiful globe. And who is that with a briefcase and a tie? Rattenborough. Some of you may remember him from previous grades. Let's go ahead and begin. Love those pictures. I'm back. Does anyone remember me? It's me, Rattenborough, animal expert and world traveler. We've explored lots of animal habitats together, haven't we? From hot savannas to cold Arctic regions, we've watched hungry carnivores eat their prey with very sharp teeth, while herbivores feast on grasses nearby. Today, I've got great fun in store for you. I'm going to present a slideshow. But before I do that, I'd like to tell you a little about how scientists understand animals. Think about all the different types of animals on Earth. Grasshoppers, penguins, rabbits, lions, salmon, turtles, and salamanders are just a few. What other animals can you name? Wow, you know lots of animals. How do you tell them apart? How do you recognize or identify them? One way that we make sense of our world is by sorting things into categories or groups. Look closely at these pictures of a salamander and a squirrel and notice their characteristics. Can you name any ways that a salamander and a squirrel are alike? How are they different? What other characteristics can you think of to help sort animals into categories? So salamander on the left and a squirrel on the right. In the mid-1700s, about 250 years ago, a Swedish man named Carlos Linnaeus became fascinated by many different ways that people all over the world were grouping animals. Some people grouped animals by how they looked. Others grouped them by their habitats, and still others by where animals lived. It was all a great mumbo-jumbo, so Linnaeus decided to use their ideas to create a worldwide system to classify or group animals based on their shared characteristics. This science of classifying organisms is called taxonomy. Using new ideas and tools, scientists have continued to study organisms and the ways they are similar and different. Over time, ideas about how to classify animals have changed somewhat. Scientists currently recognize 3 groups of living organisms based on important parts within their cells. Scientists generally agree that these groups of organisms are then divided into kingdoms, the main groups into which all living organisms have been further classified. Plants and animals are the 2 kingdoms that I know the most about, and today I'm here to talk to you about my favorite one. That's right, the animal kingdom. Taxonomists identify animals by their characteristics or special features that set them apart from others. They divide the 5 kingdoms into smaller and smaller groups, with each smaller group having more and more in common with one another. Each group has a specific name. For example, you and I not only belong to the same kingdom, the animal kingdom, but we both belong to the same phylum, the phylum known as Chordata, because we share similar body characteristics. You see the living things broken down into animal and kingdom in the picture, and we'll talk about how they are also broken into invertebrates and vertebrates. Living things. Much bigger picture here for you to see. Invertebrates cover butterflies, spiders, squids, all these things. Insects, there's so many invertebrates vertebrates. It's amazing how many there are. And then there's the vertebrate families as well that we'll be talking about. Fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals. Awesome stuff. Most animals in the phylum Chordata are vertebrates. A vertebrate has a backbone. Do you have a backbone? Yes, you do. And so do I. That is one of our common characteristics. One of the ways that scientists group us to show relationships between us. My backbone is smaller than yours because I am much smaller. I'm a rat, remember? But if you look closely at this image, you can see how similar the bones are. Look at the bones on the young lady's shirt there. See the spinal column or backbone, or what we call vertebrate. Vertebrates belong to the animal kingdom, are in the phylum Chordata. This phylum is divided into even more groups called classes. A class is divided into smaller groups called orders. An order is divided into smaller groups called families. A family is divided into smaller groups, each called a genus. A genus is divided into even smaller groups called species. There are many, many species within each group. A little more than 95% of all animals on Earth are invertebrates. Now that you know what a vertebrate is an animal with a backbone, what do you think an invertebrate is? Think about it. More than 95% of all species on animals on Earth. That's a lot of invertebrates. That is animals without backbones. Most of them are fairly small. Fewer than 5% of all animal species are vertebrates. That means that you and I and all vertebrates belong to a very small percentage of all animals on Earth. Mammals, that includes all humans, are literally just a speck. Ignore that little 12. 2.3% are fish. 0.7 and 0.7% are reptiles and birds. Amphibians only take up 0.5%, and 0.4 is mammals, and that covers humans. Goodness gracious. But 95.4% of life on this planet, invertebrate. Amazing. Now that you've heard a little bit about how taxonomists sort animals into categories, I'm ready to begin the slideshow of my worldwide travels, and I'm going to teach you all kinds of amazing things about animals. I met the most wonderful new animal friends while I traveled the globe. So throughout this domain, I will show you my slides so you can meet them too. They represent 5 vertebrate groups of animals. As they are introduced, remember to think about how a scientist might classify each one of my new friends. How is each one like you, and how is each one different from you? Here's Paulo the piranha from Colombia. And there's Tabitha Toad from Brazil, Anna Anaconda from Peru, Ebenezer Egret from South Africa, and Hilda Hippo from Tanzania. Please welcome Paulo, Tabitha, Anna, Ebenezer, and Hilda to your classroom. They are going to appear from time to time in my slides as you learn about the 5 vertebrate groups of animals. Be sure to keep an eye out for them. You never know when one of them might turn up. Aren't they a handsome bunch? They all belong to the animal kingdom like you and me. And they're like us in another way. They all have backbones. Now things get tricky. We are all animals and we are all vertebrates, but we're not all the same, are we? Heavens no. We have lots of differences as well. You and I belong to a class or group called mammals. What makes mammals different from other classes of animals is that they have fur or hair, and mothers give birth to live babies and feed their babies with the milk their bodies produce. You will learn more about these and other characteristics of mammals another day. Ooh, my friend Hilda Hippo is indeed a mammal, even though it's hard to see the little bit of hair around her mouth and on the tips of her ears and tail. When I was in Tanzania, Hilda and I had a visit with a proud new mother hippopotamus. Look at her with her baby. So, I'm a mammal, you're a mammal, and Hilda's a mammal. But my other friends have different classifications. One of them is in the reptile class, a scaly creature that likes to warm itself in the sunshine. Anna, anaconda. Isn't she beautiful? She's one of the largest snakes in the world. Though she's not poisonous, her strong muscles help her constrict or squeeze her prey. Another of my friends is an amphibian, which means that she lays eggs and lives both in and out of water. Most animals in the amphibian class have smooth, wet skin, but my friend's skin is rather dry and leathery. There you go. Who is she? Right again, Tabitha Toad. She looks a lot like her close relative, the frog, doesn't she? Her skin helps protect her as it is camouflaged or able to blend into the environment. My last two friends should be easy to classify because their classification names are much more common to all of us. Which one of my friends is a member of the bird class? Yes, Ebenezer egret. Ebenezer is a warm-blooded vertebrate with feathers. Palo Piranha is the last of my friends to be classified today. Which group does Palo belong to? Palo Piranha is a fish. He has fins and gills and lives in water. Piranhas, though small, are thought by many to be dangerous because of their very sharp teeth. Don't worry, Palo, like many other piranhas, usually feeds on dead and injured wild animals. That's not that reassuring to me either. But anyway, yeah, good. Here we go, a picture of all of my animal friends. Gotta love them. All 5 animal groups right there. Taxonomists believe that all vertebrate animals on Earth can be classified into one of these 5 animal groups: fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. In one of these 5 groups, there are 3 different fish classes. Fish also have the largest number of species among vertebrates. Even though there are more than 60,000 known species of vertebrates on Earth, there are nearly 1.5 million invertebrates, and 1 million of those are insects. Whew! Scientists continue to discover thousands of new insect species each year. How can this be? There are still unexplored areas of the Earth, far into the rainforests, inside the cold ice of glaciers, within the hot lava of volcanoes, and deep down in the ocean. Perhaps one day you will discover new animals yourselves. Examine and classify them by their different characteristics and add to our understanding of taxonomy. It's pretty cool. Let's think about what you've learned today. Scientists classify organisms, including animals, in order to show relationship between them. Animals are classified by common characteristics. Vertebrate animals have backbones, whereas invertebrate do not. Pay attention to the bold words. Those are usually important. Backbones, whereas invertebrates do not have backbones. Some are also warm-blooded, whereas others are cold-blooded. Let's think about other ways scientists might classify animals. It is important to consider where animals live, their habitats. Do they live in water or on land? Do they live in warm climates or cold climates? What covers their bodies? Feathers or scales? Fur or hair? Do they lay eggs or do they give birth to live creatures that look smaller than them? Like little tiny small versions of them. Little baby deer, baby hippo. Baby animals are so cute. Puppies. Okay, moving on. What kind of food do they eat? Plants? Animals? Or both? They are all important questions for taxonomists to ask as they work to group animals into categories that are easily studied. In the upcoming Read Aloud, you will learn much more about how animals are classified. Next time, we will pick up with a slideshow so that I can teach you about the group of animals to which Tabitha Toad, Anna Anaconda, and Palo Piranha belong. Can anyone make a prediction about which of my friends are warm-blooded animals like me? Well, you'll have to wait until next time to see if you're right. I'm going to ask you some questions. Feel free to pause and think about it before I tell you the answers. Who is the narrator of this domain? You're right. Rattenborough the rat narrated our domain. Good job. What are the 5 groups of animals that have classified as vertebrates? Amphibians, mammals, birds, fish, and reptiles. Good job. There should be a classification chart if you're in class that I'm doing that with. Fill out the headings in each of those columns as we discuss these animals in the next several days. Yay! What is the main characteristic that these 5 groups share or have in common? A backbone. Good job. That makes them vertebrates. What is this animal's name and which vertebrate group it belongs to? So tell me of all 5 of these animals you got. What is it? Tabitha toad? Paulo piranha? Hilda the hippo? Egret the bird? Anna the anaconda? And that makes up the... Right. Fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Good job. You heard background information about a scientist named Carol Linnaeus who first developed the classification system we still use today. Why was taxonomy important to Linnaeus? Why is it still important to modern scientists today? That's a lot of question there, so you may want to pause and think about it. Very good. To help classify organisms, to recognize similarities and differences in their characteristics, to identify them, to better understand new animals, etc. What are the 2 kingdoms or large organisms that you heard about today? Oops. Animal and plant. Good. What kind of kingdom is Rattenborough's favorite? Which kingdom is his favorite and why? Animal. Very good. Because he's a rat? Okay. Because he likes the animals in that kingdom? That works. What are 2 important ways that scientists classify animals? What was that? It's cold in here. No, it's not. Cold-blooded and warm-blooded. And then also vertebrate and invertebrate. These are the 2 important ways, and we will discuss them in depth. What are some other characteristics scientists may use to classify the animals? Very good. Body coverings, live birth, laying eggs, lungs, gills, diet. Awesome answer. What are animals without a backbone called? Invertebrates. Very good. Which invertebrate group contains the most number of species in the world? Like I'm on a game show. Insects. Very good. Why do you think scientists have made and will continue to make changes to the classification system over time? Science is all about learning and growing and making changes. Because new species of organisms have been and will be discovered. New observations are made about them. Advances in technology have expanded our level of understanding. We're always learning new things about ourselves and our world. Science is always growing and adapting and moving and changing. I'm going to ask a question and give you a minute to think about it. Then you'll turn to your neighbor and discuss it, and we will all share. Observe these animals' characteristics carefully. How would you compare and contrast them? In other words, what similarities do you notice between a penguin and a trout? What differences do you see? If you are a taxonomist, how would you classify these animals and why? Give you some time to think and discuss. Good. Classify. In the read aloud you heard, the scientist Linnaeus decided to use people's ideas to create a worldwide system to classify or group animals based on their shared characteristics. Say the word classify with me. Classify. The word classify means to sort or group animals or things according to common characteristics. In order to organize, study, and compare animals, scientists classify them by their common or shared characteristics. Have you ever had to classify something? What was it? If not, can you imagine something that you might have to classify this school year? Be sure to use the word classify when you tell about it. and I'll get a couple of you to respond in class. Very good. Now make choices activity. In this activity, I will name a person and want you to explain what types of things that person may classify and is their job. For example, if I say teacher, you might say, the teacher may classify her students into boys and girls. Be sure to use the word classify in a complete sentence when you share. Look over this list. Grocery store worker, librarian, astronomer, musician, mail carrier. Pause for a moment and think. Very good. The grocery store worker may classify food in the grocery store. A librarian classifies their books, fiction, nonfiction, those kinds of things. Fantasy, history, biographies, lots of good stuff. Astronomers may classify the stars, planets, comets, galaxies in the universe to discuss why they don't think Pluto is a planet anymore. More on that when we get to the space and science unit. You'll love that. A musician may classify sheet music, instruments, composers, wind instruments, bass instruments, all that kind of stuff. String. A mail carrier classifies zip codes, letters, packages, so they can make sure they get all their bills to Mr. Bowlby, because yay! Lovely. And presents and birthday cards, all that good stuff. All right. All right, here we go. Now you have your listening journal that I handed out to you. You should have it with your name on it. There are 2 pages to fill out for lesson 1. We're going to go over a poem. Now, the poem is called Alla Telephoni. You're going to make a prediction about that poem. Write it down on those lines before we read the poem. Then you're going to tell me what household items the author is confusing with an elephant. It gives you kind of a clue a little bit there. And then on the next page, you will compare and contrast the elephant and the household item. Let's read the poem. Once there was an elephant who tried to use the telephone. No, I mean the elephone, who tried to use the telephone. Dear me, I'm not certain quite that even now I've got it right. However it was, he got his trunk entangled in the telephone. The more he tried to get it free, the louder buzzed the telephone. I fear I'd better drop the song of elephant and telephone. If you said elephant and telephone, you're correct. She's clearly confusing the elephant and telephone. So you take these two, the telephone and the elephant, compare and contrast. How are they similar? They both make noise, sure. And obviously one is an inanimate object, unless it's ringing and you answer it and there's a person on the other line. And then there's the living creature over there. All right, so here is where you are going to put your conclusion to this. Compare and contrast. On one side, tell about a telephone. On the right side, put about the elephant. And in the middle, things that are similar about both of them. Once you get that done, let me know. We'll collect it. Thank you so much for joining me in this PowerPoint video and presentation in class or at home. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been Mr. Bowlby. You have a good day. Here's sorry about this one, an observation chart for you to fill out about the elephant and write about the characteristics in the little bubbles around it. Very good. Have a good day.